that you just said. I think that there are people, well intentioned, that use the words, refugee and immigrant interchangeably, thinking that they're the same thing. They're not. Can you talk? Can you explain to us the difference and kind of what you're seeing when you're faced with people kind of using them back and forth in that way?
Yeah, that's really another great question. Before I make that difference, let me make it clear here that we are all citizens of the world. It doesn't matter where you are or where you find yourself. Through the legal things, we get some etiquettes of status that make us different from each other. But in reality, we are all citizens of the world. Now, when it comes to refugees and immigrants, the clear difference is that a refugee is someone, according to the definition of the United Nations High Commissioner of Refugees, is someone who have been persecuted in their own country and being forced out, and they cross an international border. Now, the persecution can be based on someone's just their nationality, their racial, their race, their belonging to a social group like LGBT community, for instance, or just having a different political opinion from the country that you call your country, and you get persecuted just for that. And so you have to leave. Now, those who are called refugees are those who, after leaving their own countries, have been registered by United Nations, the High Commissioner for Refugees, and they get given that status before they come to the US. Those are the refugees. An immigrant is someone who, for a variety of reasons, it could also be based on the persecution, they also left and they end up in another country. At World Relief Western Washington, like I shared earlier, our vision is to see every refugee and immigrant be welcomed by community, rooted in community, and empowered for community. And that's what we call the community to rally around and to rally behind so that we can create that space for everyone. The refugees have been vetted by the federal government before they get flown into the country. Sometimes people ask, is it safe to be around a refugee? My answer is yes. And you are going to find something great about that person called refugee that you're around, because as you do so, there happens something that we call a mutual transformative relationship that you create, where you learn more about yourself, who you really are, and what is it that you can do for someone who just looks different than you, and they also learn from you as you have that interaction with them through that mutually transformative relationship.
Emmanuel?
Well, I think I agree with him. Immigrants and refugees, we both, immigrants, for example, is basically somebody who was born out of this country. You could have been a refugee or maybe just a businessman, you pack up your things and you come here, or maybe you could be an African immigrant. You know, an African immigrant, especially those who came here in the 30s and the 40s and the 60s, after we gained our independence, some countries started sending them abroad. They're like, okay, well, now we have our independence. We're no more under the French people or the German or whoever, so we need to build our own country. Therefore, we need manpower. We need to send people abroad to go and study. And they send them here or to England. And they go to school, and after they got in their education, they look back and like, who's going back in that heat?